welcome back to another episode number 24 of the BRUNCH, your Sunday rendezvous with the hockey coach, your coach FRENCHY, directly for the beautiful country of Canada. And we have to go all the way to Ottawa to find the co-host for another great morning. Sunday morning, Mr. Marko Larabi is in the house with the Hockey Nation show today. How are you doing, my friend?
Very good, coach. Very good. Very crazy week. You know, if there's one word for this week, I would say exhausting. It's exhausting week, not only for us fans because of, the West Coast start times and all that, but for the players too, right? Like it's very emotionally exhausting week with the trade deadline. So that's the key word. That's the Marko word of the week is tired, exhausted.
I think
So it was
everybody.
nice to have a day off yesterday.
Yeah, absolutely. I think everybody, all the fans too, like you just said, 3 games on the road, and 2 of them start at 10:30. So everybody go bed late at 1:30, late the night. You know what I mean? It's not easy. And then the trade deadline, every day have something's going on. We did 3 shows, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, at 9 o'clock. That's not what we do usually because you have a trade deadline plus the Montreal Canadiens game, and then finally Friday. Now we're exhausted. Wait, that was maybe the exhaustion we
Hurry
got.
up and wait.
Was waiting all day long for something, and nothing happened Friday. Everything happening before that. So very quiet trade deadline. We're going to talk about this today. Martin said, what's the next thing to do for the rest of the season? Couple of news about the prospect Montreal and the Laval Rocket. I think if you did not watch the Montreal Canadiens, you should watch the Laval Rockets on the weekend. Very, very excited, entertaining 2 games for them, and it was fun to watching them. So we're going to talk a little bit more about them for sure. And a couple of news updates for the Montreal Canadiens and another new injury for the Montreal Canadiens. So a lot to talk about, Mr. Marko. Are you ready to rock and roll and start up the warm-up?
Let's do
Here we go. Here we go. Like we do all the time at the beginning, we see the review of the week of the Montreal Canadiens. 3 games this week. They are on the West Coast, all 3. First of all, the W again, the San Jose Sharks, but the score 3-1. And then a double, same score, 3-2 losing against the Kings and the Anaheim Ducks. And that's happening for the Montreal Canadiens. So this week they are honestly 26-32 at 4, 170 goal, 221 goal again. Still at the 8, but they are 26 in the standing. Something like people that's not very happy about that. And finally, one more thing before we go. The Montreal Canadiens are honestly 1-2-0 during the week and 26-32 at 4. So that gives you an idea, Mr. Marko. And I can wait to hear from your comments about the 3 games of Montreal during the week.
Yeah. So, Allen goes back-to-back. San Jose and Los Angeles. So a couple people were maybe surprised, but he had such a good game in San Jose that I guess it made sense. He hadn't played back-to-back in a while. So that San Jose game, listen, like it was a good game. Like, they played well. Josh Anderson again was a standout. Matheson. So really good game, San Jose. Nothing you can really say about that. Los Angeles too, right? Like much tougher team out of the 2 here. Like Los Angeles is definitely a tough team. Montreal, hanging in there with them. Again, Allen had a really strong game. Same kind of thing as before. And then Anaheim was a bit of a letdown, I found, right? Like I think, like I mentioned off the top, I think the team was just probably, I don't know why they do games, coach, on the day of trade deadline. They need to stop doing that, right? Like I know people don't like to hear this, like, oh, poor players, they get paid millions of dollars, but still, like it's a lot to go through. You're not sure where you're going to go, your family's worried and all that. So even if you want to take the human element of it, which I don't think you should. So if you include the human element of it, then they shouldn't have a game. But even if you take that out, just from a pure entertainment standpoint, it still makes sense to not have a game because the players are just not going to be as concentrated. So, we all got to stay up to, at least that game was at 10 p.m., not 10:30 p.m. And it was Friday. So, a lot of people didn't have to work the next day. I slept for, I think, 12 hours after I woke up like on Saturday morning, like at 11 o'clock or something. So that game was not super fun to watch. Lots of broken plays. Anaheim is just weird. Like I think. And by the way, I wanted to give kudos to all of the Hockey Nation live fans. Though we had a pretty good turnout. I think on average we had 70 or 80 people watching those games with us right till 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. So kudos to the Habs fans, coming out and coming on to watch the live stream. So we had fun in the chat, but that last game wasn't as fun. You could tell that it's probably one of the weaker performances. I didn't even watch the Martin Saint-Louis press conference after, but I'm assuming Coach wasn't super
Oh,
happy with that
you didn't
performance.
miss anything. They were already in the plane to go into Vegas. So 2 minutes and 2 seconds of press conference after the game. So they were already gone there for Vegas. So not long
Yeah,
for a press conference then. But I think the execution was not there. The Golden League did pretty good overall, but it was not entertaining game. I believe 3-2.
no.
But the only
I
entertaining
guess
maybe the
you
only
should
goal
note
of
that.
Jonathan Drouin.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's probably the most noteworthy thing is Jonathan Drouin. Gets that empty. It's still an empty net goal. He's still yet to beat a goalie this year, but hopefully that you could see how relieved he was, and good
It's
for
funny
him. Like,
because if you recall it, like when he scored a couple of weeks ago, Josh Anderson pushed the puck in the net or something like that. If I can,
yeah,
I don't know if you
yeah, yeah.
remember that one, right?
Oh yeah,
But this
yeah.
time it was a shot of Mike Madison, and the puck goes slow. Is going to be in the net, and he pushed the puck in the
He
net.
smashed it. He dunked it right in for sure. He did not make any mistake
He
there.
didn't want to take
For
any
sure.
chances. Maybe my only chance I have this year. Let's push the puck in the net. I would
Yeah,
credit him for the first
smashed
goal.
it.
But look,
Yeah,
we laugh about him, but it's a new transformation, Jonathan Drouin, in the last 4 weeks, I believe, in my eyes. I know people don't like him a lot, but look, 2 other points Saturday. He continues to performing on point all the time. But for me, is his back checking. Like I never see him back checking like he does right now for Montreal Canadiens. He does a really good job right now with the Montreal Canadiens. Not saying he's the best player, but you have to give credit for at least for what he's doing right now with Montreal. And Martin Saint-Louis really have a confidence about him. He have a faith about him. He sees his improvement. And whatever is not for the benefit for Montreal, only for him. We'll see in the future what it will be for him for next year. He become a UFA at the end of the year. So
yeah. You get a lot of people saying, "Oh, he's going to play in Europe next year." No, no, he's gonna. Somebody's going to give him a chance, like a $1 or $2 million contract. There's no question about that. Like you can't ignore somebody that puts up, on average, like zero point 0.7 points per game. Again, my biggest knock with I agree, like he does back check a little bit more. To me, my biggest criticism is for somebody who, because remember we talked about this a couple weeks ago, Coach. Like, there's no denying his understanding of the game. Like even I don't know if you noticed this last game, but when there's a guy that was played the puck with a broken stick, he was the first person on the ice raising his hand. Like he's very aware. Like, and we talked about this before. Like in the post game, he analyzes the game so well. Like he could so he knows the game, right? My biggest criticism of him is his ability, and I don't know. For me, like because of his skill, you think he would find a way to figure this out, but it's winning battles along the boards. He must win maybe 10% of his battles along the boards, like little 50-50 pucks there. Like it's almost guaranteed that if it's him and another person along the boards, he'll always lose the puck. I just don't understand. Like you don't need to be strong. Like look at Harris, look at players like that. Like even Caulfield is learning how to stick, have a smart stick and win battles along the boards. To me, that's just it's such an important part of the game, right? Like, but you could see after the goal he scored, he was dancing. Like a couple of zone entries where he like slowed down right at the line, and so he's a mysterious player. He's a man of mystery, that Jonathan Drouin.
more you talk, more I'm thinking about. I don't know. Maybe he could learn about the play on PK because I think he could become I understand maybe not the best player block shot right now. I
Yeah,
understand that, but if you
yeah,
think about a PK player, if you have a
yeah,
speed, if you have that kind of,
yeah.
because he's fast, he's not like a slow player. He can skate. You can
No,
see on PK,
yeah,
he
for sure,
probably can run the puck, right? And he's a good singer. I think if you can add this on his tool, that will improve him. Is still high on the
sure.
ice at the end of the year. So I just want just bring you another element because some players did
Yeah,
it. Try to Michael Pesera. Why not try Jonathan Drouin at the end of the day?
yeah, dude. Coach, I said that at the beginning of the year. Like, you guys kind of laughed at me, but I was like, why not give Jonathan, like, give him a role, give him a very specific role, let him kill penalties. Remember when they did that with Pacioretty, right? Like, they said, you know what, we're going to give you a very specific role, gives him more responsibility. Like we said, he understands the game, and then maybe he builds that into his game. Like, coach, you're a leader, right? Like, you're a coach, and I've been a manager before too. Like, and we talked about this. People need goals, and they need a role. They need something that they can bite into and really understand, right? So, I think that was a mistake, for Jonathan Drouin. They didn't really give him a very specific role. So maybe that's the one miss this year for the coaching staff, I think.
Definitely, I agree with you about that. We'll follow up about this. Who stand out for you, Mr. Marco?
Usually, week to week, coach, I'm always waffling like, oh, can I choose one or two? To me, this week it's a no brainer. Josh Anderson. Josh Anderson definitely stood out to me. It's like, I think we mentioned this recently too. Is like, I don't remember him having a more consistent period as a Hab. Over the last month since the All Star break, just every game he's bringing it. Like, definitely seeing an evolution. I've been hard on him before about how he only has one or two modes, like, but you can see that he is adding some layers to his game. So really huge kudos to Martin Saint Louis and the coaching staff there for working with him. But just night in, night out, total effort. Physical, but not like he took. He took a couple penalties here and there, but that's going to happen when you play that brand of hockey. But yeah, to me, Josh Anderson just really carrying and he wasn't even playing with Suzuki for since Gurianov has joined the
I
team,
play
right?
with
So
Drouin and
yeah,
Drouin.
yeah,
So
and
you're absolutely right about
RHP.
this. He scored 2 goals on power play this week again. Sometimes you have many injuries. You have an opportunity to pop up and then to show up when the door is open. He took it and he does very well
Yeah,
since all the injury they
yeah,
have. And that gave him possible maybe a top 6 players in the future. We're looking for
yeah,
a right winger. If you think about this, we don't
yeah,
have no right winger. And now at the beginning, Caulfield and Ski does not do well with him, but who knows after that he could become with Doc and RHP on the second line. I just mentioned that, and then until Sakoski, but I think that could be another one we have to consider next season. But I agree with you. I will go with. I understand he did only 2 games, but I have a total players I was thinking, but I think I will have to go with Jake Allen. Allen won for the last 6 games, but their save percentage 93, 936, I believe. Is about 3.1, but again, it's below what he did all year long. But for me, is how he make the team stay in the game. Whatever he lost the last game, 3-2 against the King, that without him, it could be like 5-1 or for 6-1 for the Kings. He keep Montreal in the game. Again, the San Jose Sharks, it was the reason why they won against them 3-1 for them, for the Montreal. So for me, I have to go with Jake Allen, not only for this week, but the last, since he's back from his injury, his really consistency. I don't think so. He have a really bad game since that injury. So we have to give credit for me, Jake Allen. I have other player we can talk a little bit, right? But
Matheson.
we slowly Ski get his point there, get another point over there. He get another point. You know what I mean? Like he does make a big swing. Like because of him we win, but he accomplished kind of something good, and he played with Kurianov. That's it's not new players to adapt. He adapt with everybody. He tried to help in the Montreal with the way he can the most. But for me, Ski, I think he's another players. And Mike Madison, what a great Mike Madison we have. I think this is what I mean. You talk about another steal. I think at the end of the X year, we're going to remember like trade another winner for Jack can use in my eyes for Mike Milson versus Jack Petrie about that.
For sure.
But during the week, because we don't mention about this, we should do it. Kenan Cody was back on the ice Tuesday against San Jose. Curious enough, it was straight for that enough. Play with Montreal this week. Edmondson back on the lineup for the last game Thursday, and then he come back again on Friday. He didn't get trade. And then we have Drouin play on the second line as a center. That would promote for him. Christiane claimed last week and played with the Montreal Canadiens, by the way. And RHP and Allen was sent down to the Laval Rocket purpose of the new roster for the playoff and and then for the 4 players you have to call up at the same time, everything like that. We want to talk about the update injuries, Mr. Marco, of the week, and then we have first of all, it's not there yet, but Byron is there. So Byron got hurt. Again, I think it's an Ducks with the no, it was the King, I believe.
The Kings, yeah, yeah,
First period, he
yeah,
got it in the back, everything like that. Now the last players in the last game, Cody got hurt, and
yeah.
they called up the new player is Alar from
At
the
all,
Los Angeles
yeah,
Kings and to join the Montreal
yeah,
Canadiens. He said people were asking me already. So why him? Because he's already on the West Coast, and the Montreal and the Laval Rocket plays this weekend. So what happened? I called someone from Laval Rocket to come to Montreal to Vegas. They took advantage to further allow to be around the team as a location to
yeah,
stop
yeah.
with the Montreal Canadiens. So we don't know. I don't know if you have any update for Caden Coley or because I did not get anything yet.
No, can you go back to the other slide? I just wanted to kind of go through some of your points there from,
The player of the week.
yeah, like just some of the things, yeah, this one. So just to go through this real quick. So Gooley did have an impact right away. You know, like it was great to see him come back in the lineup, scores his first game. Just, yeah, it just reminds you how valuable he was at the beginning of the year. Again, it would be really disappointing. It looks like his shoulder, I guess, that he might have hurt in that game. So that would not be good. I guess we need to talk about Gurionov a little bit now that we have like a 3 game sample size. To me, he's as advertised or as I read about him. Like I've seen him play with Dallas, but I've never focused on him that much during a game. So my take on Gurionov so far, I think I put a comment on one of your videos this week. I wasn't super impressed with his first press conference. Doesn't seem like the smartest guy, to be honest. Like one of the things that I look for is for a player who's able to self-evaluate himself. And that's the only way you can really improve is to identify what you need to improve on. And he didn't really seem to have very good answers about that. Like he's like, well, I skate fast and I shoot. That's what I do. I skate
I will say
fast
one thing,
and I shoot.
Marco, about that. Russian players are not like demonstrative, or they are not like
Yeah, yeah,
excited about everything
yeah,
right there. But I will add one more thing, Marco. Think about this. You play in Dallas for 5 years. You have only one mic in front of you. Now you go to Montreal, you have about 25
yeah,
mic
yeah,
in front of you. maybe
yeah, yeah,
maybe
yeah.
you back up a little bit the first time.
Yeah, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But my take on Gurionov so far is
What a
exactly what I
rocket,
was
by the
expecting.
way. What, en
Yeah,
français,
you
on appelle ça un plomb en français.
un plomb, absolument. Ouais, ouais, absolument un plomb. So yeah, my read on him is yeah, he has a great shot. He can wheel. He's fast, but the scouting report on him is that he does stay to the outside a little too much. Like that's his game. He blows down the wing and he likes to shoot. So it's good. Like he can score, shooting that way. But I'm really excited to see what Saint Louis can do with him. Like if he can work with Anderson and add layers to his game, let's see. It's a really good project, but as he is right now, like I can see, what the issue is like he's not really that creative, but he has all the tools. So really exciting to see what Saint will be doing with him. And one thing I'm looking at this here too, Coach. So they sent down HRP or sorry, RPH to and Ylonen to they papered them to go to Laval. Why didn't they do that with Belzil?
For Bez, because in case they keep him all the way.
Yeah, but like they're not going to be in
The
the
second,
playoffs. Like
yeah, no, I have to look about that. Yeah, possible, of course, because they call up emergency. So I have to check again. I know Byron was one of them, and the reason why is because RHP or Allen could be an emergency call for the Montreal. Does not count as a call up.
it's just weird, right? Because he was their captain, right? So it's just strange that like I understand why they would. I understand why they're doing that so that they're eligible to play in the playoffs. but it's
Now
just
the
weird that
second
it
thing. Oh
wasn't
yeah, yeah.
Edmondson.
I know. I know why. I know why. I got it. I
Okay.
apologize. He have to go through the waiver.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I'm still right about the I'm still right about the emergency call, because if you're emergency call, does not count, right? You can play only 10 game. Example, Pitlick been there like before that in
Yeah.
the past, but yeah, that's the reason why
Okay.
the waiver. That's the waiver. So it
Got it.
makes
Got
sense
it.
now. It makes a great call,
Got it.
by the way. Great
Yeah.
question, by the way. I
Yeah.
just want to finish with Curry enough. The word intensity for me, I saw him. I watched him a
Yeah.
lot in Dallas because I was in South many years, and I would say it remind me a lot. The his problem, he looked like Armia. So if you want to see Armia, that's the copycat of Kuryanov usually. When I'm talking about this, the inconsistent, the show up one game, it would be amazing. Then he disappear for 3-4 games. You never see the number 34 in Dallas. So you can have that game. So for me, it's like you said, like Anderson, if you Kuryanov can show up every single game with intensity, because then they move him sometime. He shoot the goal from the left side. This is rare. He always been play on the right side
On the
with the
right. Yeah.
Dallas style.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
another good thing about that. And I think that we're helping him. You know why? Because I will give you an example. If you're one girl, you play on the wrong side. You cannot intercept the puck on the wall. You have
Yeah.
to use
Yeah.
your body with your skate. If you play on the right side, but now you can use your stick. That will maybe helping him to recover puck, example, to make a
Yeah.
bit more.
Get pucks out. Get
Exactly.
pucks out at the board. Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly. So I just want to, try the details of the game, something like that. So that's another factor. I think he can do that with the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah.
But you're absolutely right about this. Let's move on. What we got here. So we talk a little bit about the new update we mentioned earlier. I want to go a little bit more deeper. But during the time, we're going to talk about Ken Hughes' press conference trade deadline, right? But he gave us a little bit more information about the injury, what happening with front players, everything like that. So I put those kind of information there. So maybe if you're going to add more, first of all, Edmondson was involved back in the lineup, a couple of days missed the first game. He thought he would be a part of and it's completely the reason why it's the lower back problem it was. And that's one reason he did not get traded, by the way.
Yeah. And probably nobody more relieved than him. Like he was pretty he was pretty honest with anybody that would listen that he did not want to move, right? So he was probably very relieved for the trade deadline to be over. But listen, like we talked about, it's not like he hurts us, like everybody loves Edmondson, and there's no question that when he's healthy that he brings a presence to the ice, and he's a great presence in the room. And especially if Gouli is going to be hurt here, then he's a welcome addition to the lineup. And he has another year left, right? So we still have, whether it's the summer or at some point next year, Ken Hughes can still move him. So no big loss there. Monahan, it's again, we made the joke about the Chinese air balloon, like a spy balloon. Like at least we have a little bit more information now. Like to me, we were speculating a lot, Coach, about I guess the technical term that Ken Hughes used for it was compensatory injuries. So he didn't seem to want to throw his medical team under the bus in that press conference. He's like, "Well, we don't know for sure if it's related to the fact that he ended up playing because of his broken ankle or broken foot or whatever. Like we don't have any evidence that to show that, but we're learning more all the time about those types of injuries, right? So to me, I would kind of read between the lines there that he's still suspicious that maybe that wasn't managed super well. And it was, for once, like you can criticize the Montreal media sometimes. They don't ask the hard questions, because it's those press credentials are very valuable, right? You don't want to lose your press credentials. But it was good. They pushed and they asked that question a couple times, like, like, are you concerned that on how this is managed? Because like he played 2 games in Calgary and all that with a broken foot, and so good on the press to kind of push him a little bit on that. But I read between the lines there, like he didn't want to throw anybody under the bus, but I still think that there's something there, and they're
So
going to
he
be
have
reviewing
another
that.
injury, right? So when he come back again, he hurt something, looked like the knee or something like that. And Ken Hughes for the benefit of the trade or everything, he didn't want to go through the media
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
show
Yeah.
the injury. So what he did, he sent a memo for all the league about the situation with
Yeah.
Money and everything like that. He tried to keep this
Yeah.
secret until the trade deadline. And when it happened after that, he explained the reason why he did that, everything like that.
Yeah.
He's still
Yeah.
perplexed. He still believe they could maybe, they make a mistake about Monahan about his foot. And that's what the reason they shut down Caulfield, Sakoski, and they try very caution after that. And
Yeah. Yeah.
he said that. And it will be
Yeah.
interesting how they go to the next move for sure about this. Um,
Yeah.
so that's Monahan's case. Barron's situation, we don't know yet when he will be returned. He did look. He said that's happening last night. It was one Friday when he did his meeting, his press conference. So he did not know too much about when he will be returned, and that's the reason Allard now joined joined the team. He talked about a
Yeah.
contract called Caulfield. He said, "Look, during the negotiation, we never said." What's going on with this? We're going to wait, and then we're going to give you exactly what happened. He said, "Look, I was an agent. Sometimes you take 1 week, sometimes you take months." So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's pretty much what you mentioned about Cole Caulfield. You talk about Sakoski, that's he believes he's not going to use him to the World Championship in April
Championship. Yeah.
or the
Yeah.
Laval Rocket for what he said. And the reason why, back to Monahan, the precaution to not push anybody back, rush in the eyes or anything like that. So that's what he explained, but he's not guarantee 100%, but it looked like Sakoski is going to be over his season for the
Yeah.
rest of summer. Xavier Simoneau got a ELC, a contract 2 years, a little bit over 700,000. Congratulations for Simoneau. Again, for me, I don't think so. Can he get some game? Yes, but to play and then NHL consistency like a year after year, I don't see this from him. Oh, unfortunately.
No, just especially just because of the prospects that we already have in the pipeline, like Machar and Farrell, like smaller guys. Like he's really short. I don't remember. I don't like to call people small. He's short. I haven't seen him play that much, so I don't know how he looks. Pretty strong because he plays like a bull, right, in a china
Yeah.
shop, right. So I love that guy. Like he's feisty, but I don't. Yeah, you're right. Like it's gonna be tough.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that. So that's conclude everything, update everything for the news. We're going to talk more about the 29 few minutes, but I want to finishing with this segment here about the month. The Montreal is on the month for February. I have 6-3-0, Marco. People, they play against a good team and they beat Devils, one of them. So we have to get on it. Hoffman is key have the most .9 point this month, and RHP have the most goal with Zuski 4. If I think it's 4-5, but I could be wrong here. But they are the three best players. On the flip side, Jake Allen have a really excellent month of February with the Montreal Canadiens when he returned, Sunday house games. Why 9 game only? Because he was the All-Star game. And plus, they have a 1 week vacation, so they miss that. It's
Yeah.
always been 13, 16 game. And that's the reason I always said to you, next month, the Montreal
Is that,
Canadiens
by the way,
plays
is that your new nickname for Hoffman? Hoffy?
Alfie, yeah.
You have a new nickname? Oh, you love him now. We always knew that you loved Hoffman. You call him Hoffy now. That's so cute, Coach.
March 16 game on the program, so they play almost like
Wow.
2 game back, every 2 nights if you calculate that way.
Yeah.
3 times they play back-to-back game, and 3 times they play 3 game and 4 nights. So really busy March. I'll just give you an idea. Next week, Carolina, Rangers, Devils, Colorado, Florida Panthers, Tampa Bay.
Whoa. Jeez.
So will be really interesting
Thanks.
what they're going to do for the next couple of weeks.
Yeah.
The schedule not looking good for them for sure. Like I
March
mentioned to you, Marco, we're going to consider what we got. I'm going to go a little bit more about the preview a little bit later. But I want to mention to you the trade deadline. Maybe give us a little bit of resume. We talk all week about Montreal Canadiens every night, and we know most of them. But maybe something you maybe disappointed, or that's what your expectation, or can you have maybe his tie up, his hand was tied up because injury? Well, just give you a little bit of 1 minute or 2 minutes about Ken Hughes.
Yeah, well, I don't think I'll need a whole 2 minutes. It was pretty quiet. The most exciting part of trade deadline for me was I got to have a nap before I was like, okay, if I'm really tired here, I'm gonna have a little nap. And I woke up at 3 p.m. to make sure I didn't miss the last hour because usually the last hour is where the most stuff happens, right? Because so I was really hoping that maybe at the end, there was going to be a team that missed out on something else, and kind of like a Thomas Vanek kind of
Yeah.
situation. Like at 2:59 p.m. there's something that happens. So didn't happen. But listen, it's not surprising. Like at the end of the day, it's just bad luck. For Kent Hughes, the two biggest assets the two biggest trade ships that he had just got injured. That's really what it comes down to. And the market just wasn't there for somebody like Jonathan Drouin, or certainly not Mike Hoffman because of the term on his contract. So listen, like the biggest move is the Gurianov move for Dadonov. Like again, like so you're turning Weber's contract into Gurianov. That's a nice win. I like the patience. Maybe the biggest takeaway is that we learned that Ken Hughes is not somebody that's just going to act just to act, right? Like he's not doing it just for the press or for the fans. If you look at his track record, it's pretty great so far in terms of trades and moves. So he doesn't taint his record, at least. Like you don't want to just make a move and make a bad move, a desperate move to get rid of contracts, right? So we still have other things to look forward to, Coach. It was a bit disappointing. There's a lot of exciting stories out of the trade deadline. It was probably the most exciting trade. We should call it trade. The trade period. Like the trade season more than the trade deadline, because there's really almost 2 weeks of like jam packed, kind of action, with some teams really making some interesting moves. I'm sure we'll talk about it over the next couple of weeks, but which teams are going to be able to really gel, like especially a team like Toronto, they're adding 6 players into their lineup. Like that's almost unprecedented turnover in your lineup. Like how is that going to work? Then you have teams that are right now the darling, like the it team in the NHL right now. I think are the Senators. Like everybody's buzzing about them. They have 5 games in a row. A lot of people, as everybody knows, I live in Ottawa, so lots of buzz around that team. So exciting deadline. We knew it was going to be quiet. But listen, like you can't be critical of Kent Hughes. It wasn't really anything that he could do. So it is what it is. Now, Coach, draft lottery. That's the next big one for us here. That's the
Yeah, I'm
next
sorry
big
about that. I
news.
would only add, I think it's not because you forgot. It's just maybe our most seller team came at the last minute, like he was not predict, like I said, but
Yeah,
Nashville,
yeah,
Washington, two teams
yeah,
sell. So all egg home and all have example, two players will not expect.
yeah,
Then you add less Eller. Inside that, you add Bo or Rat and everything. So money was, So at the end of the day, I think the most sailor team complicate a little bit can use about that. And again, the work patient don't want to give anything for nothing, and just because you need
yeah.
to make a trade. And I think that's you really resume exactly what happening for the Montreal Canadiens. By the way, my video is done. I just put this up. I think it's going to be Monday morning, 7 o'clock a.m. The biggest winner of the trade deadline and the biggest loser of the trade deadline. So we'll be out. I talk about the 30 team all the way from 1 to 32,
Nice. Wow.
and
Cool.
just add the player they add, but the reason why I gave them from ranking 1 to 10 where they are. So
Nice.
we'll be out Monday
Cool.
morning, 7 o'clock p.m. So a.m.
I
So
can't wait to watch and argue with you. I'll disagree with most of everything you say. Fun.
I think I was one team is surprised like nobody would expect. I think you think you can say like New Jersey, Toronto, or I put Boston there, but you have another team. It was not a buyer, a seller. Become they needed 10 on 10. I put them on the 10 on 10. So just wait
Right.
for that to know which thing
Good
I'm
teaser.
talking about. So Martin Saint
Great.
Louis, remaining of the season. Before Martin Saint Louis, it's I went on. I would call this the news another new season. I would say maybe yes, it is. Start tonight. Tonight again, the Vegas Golden Knight. I remind everybody, don't forget the game start at 6 o'clock Eastern time, and we're going to do a play-by-play, so you can join me live again. Like I said, the Knights. But this is what another audition of 20 game, 21 game for Koreanov and many others. But same thing for Jonathan Drouin. I think he cannot give up, and he said, "Now I'm home for." Nothing because you need to battle for the contract next year. And many of them inside the Montreal Canadiens, battle for the spot for the upcoming year. Like RHP example, Justin Barron example. The two of them, I would just click. Jesse Allen is under one. Montembeau is under
Yeah.
one. So I was once said to you, what do you feel about Martin St. Louis? What you need to do? Do he bench now Hoffman out of the windows to show everyone, or what do you feel about Martin St. Louis? What you need to focus on?
Well, this answer might be a bit boring, but I think it's more of the same. Just continue exactly what they've been doing for the last month. Is I think what they're going to be focused on. We've been talking about it week to week here, coach. Like we're seeing the buy-in from the players. I don't think that's going to change. You know, like maybe you have like a Hoffman. Like if Hoffman was really trying to and was hoping to move and get out of Montreal, maybe you see a bit of a dip from him. You know, like I'm not using him, not him necessarily, but if there was a player that maybe was playing a bit harder because he was hoping to get moved, you know, maybe there's a dip there. But that's the thing, though, right? Like when you're working on a team and everybody is working hard, even if you have a bad attitude, it's hard to not follow everybody else, right? Like you just stick out like a sore thumb. People want to belong. You know, that's just a part of group dynamics is you don't want to be the only guy not following, right? So right now the momentum is positive. The key key people on the team have bought in and we have this great momentum. So the only game that I've seen that wasn't like that was that Anaheim game, but again, I think it was just a one-off. So I'll be curious to see tonight, like if we start to see a pattern here where we're starting to slide back, or are they going to jump right back on the Martin Saint Louis train, right? So I'm confident that they will continue to play that way. You're right. There's a lot of players that have a lot to prove here, and like we've talked about before, it's Montreal, Anaheim, like all the teams that are kind of in the bottom feeders right now. They're dangerous teams. If you're a team that's fighting for that wild card, they're spoilers, right? Like they're playing loose. They have players that have things to prove. Very dangerous teams, so I think that's what the remaining of the season is. We're going to talk about some of the other exciting things, like maybe there's some prospects that Montreal is going to sign. That's going to be something to look forward to as well. So lots of things to look forward to. If you're if you're a Habs fan, there's still a lot of things to analyze. Still a lot of player, I guess, evaluation to do as a fan. But certainly the team is going to be doing it. But as a fan, there's a lot for us to evaluate on some of these players. Gurianov, RHP, all the young decor that's going to continue to play some big minutes. So should be fun. It's going to be interesting to watch.
Yeah, absolutely right about that. He used a two-term, Martin St. First of all, he said, finish strong. And then he said, don't cause the finish line. And that is the title of this episode, the BRUNCH, by the way. So he absolutely right. So it'll be interesting what happening. By the way, we forgot to mention this. Danny T was at the game again, the Kings.
Oh
When
yeah,
they
I
play,
know. I
about
know.
that one over
I
there.
was there.
So
Yeah, it was great. I didn't know that he was that familiar with LA, but I guess he has a lot of investments in crypto, so that's why he has tickets there all the time at
he
crypto
still have
games.
the Montreal Canadiens on his heart at the end of the day.
Yeah,
So I just want to see
I knew
that.
that all.
Around we came was saw him. So he was just cross each other. So it's pretty amazing. We'll
Nice.
talk a little bit more
Yeah,
about that a little bit later. But you're absolutely right. The remaining of the season for Martin St. Louis, again, I said earlier, the audition. It could be anybody. And I would say for Joel Armia example, or any other players, they still battle. Like Pesada need to figure out something if he want to get his job next year. And same thing with David, Saval, consistently helping everybody around. And development is something you have to focusing more for the rest of the year. So it's not because the trade deadline is over. And now the season is over too. They have to finish strong their year, and that's what Martin said we have to do. Like he said, I'm going to do what I do every single day: pop up, show up, and the teaching the kid to become better. So that's a great one for sure for Martin Saint Louis. I want to mention the next move for the Montreal Canadiens. I ask this question: what do you think about this? Sean Farrell and Jaden Stobble look first of all, for Stubble, this is his last season in NCAA. He cannot return, by the way, next year. That's his complete, his 5 years over there. They both of them are no ELC. Farrell could return at Vert. Look like he does not want to return, so he will be another player open up for the Montreal Canadiens. What you feeling about both of them? Do you see them sign both? Do you see one of them, or do you see the not at all for this year? They're going to push back in next year, or maybe trade one of them? What are you feeling the next move for Canadiens about the two players from NCAA?
Yeah, well, that was one of the things that we were wondering about, Coach, is Struble. Like, that was one name that we thought maybe would have gotten moved here at the deadline because of the fact that Montreal has such a surplus of left-handed defensemen, right? That
So
was a bit
good point about
surprising.
this, Marco. I will just add one thing because I know you maybe add more, but like the Buffalo Sabre trade Bartillo to the Kings, I believe. I
Yeah,
think I'm right for the third round pick. I could be wrong here too.
yeah,
But
yeah,
do you think Montreal should go looking for this kid, Portillo? Not said the King can keep it. They could trade his right again if they want to. But
yeah,
the feeling
yeah.
about that, what do you think about Jaden?
To me, if I'm looking at it strictly from the player's perspective, I just don't understand why he would want to sign in Montreal. Like you're way behind in the depth chart. You have, arguably a better version of yourself ahead of you when I think Gooley, or sorry, Jackeye. Jackeye is a better version, I think, of Struble, in my opinion. I like Struble. Like, I've always liked him as a prospect, but I just don't see, if I'm his camp, if I'm his entourage, I'm like, you just need to go somewhere else. Like, there's just too many bodies ahead of you. So I would be shocked, but maybe Hughes, I don't know, like, convinces him to sign the ELC, and maybe they move him, or maybe they move, maybe again, like we talked about, like maybe they move some of those other people ahead of him, right? So, Hughes has had these, he both these guys are from Massachusetts, right? Like, playing in that area. So we know that both, that Hugo in general has like a really good connection with that area. So either they talk to him and say, what, like, we know it seems like a really tough hill for you to climb to in the depth chart, but don't worry, we're going to be clearing out some bodies here this summer. Maybe that's an assurance that they make him to sign him. But to me, it's surprising that they wouldn't have moved him. If they don't intend on signing him, or if they didn't think they could sign him, that might have been a mistake not moving him. But I guess we'll see. For Farrell, I think they have really high hopes for this prospect. I would be shocked if they don't sign him to an ELC here, and I would love to see him play in Montreal for, as for a couple of games at least. Maybe they do that thing where they burn the first year of his ELC to play some games and whatever. So I think that's an exciting prospect for us to see Farrell this year. Again, I'm a little concerned about some of the size when you look at Machar and you look at some of the other prospects that are coming up. But out of, between him and Machar, you know, I think Machar is probably somebody that I would moving forward to package for something else. But I'm excited to see Farrell. I would be shocked if they don't sign his ELC here in the
Yeah,
coming weeks.
absolutely right about that, Marco. I think the trend between Farrell and Mazar, one is speed, right, and quick hands, and maybe I think overall, I think Farrell a little bit more overall better IQ, hockey
IQ, yeah,
sense, and vision
yeah,
whatsoever. Mazar good players, two really, player.
yeah,
Mazar more bigger 5'10" versus Farrell, but Farrell, his biggest fan. Do you know who his biggest fan?
no,
Cole Caulfield.
sure. Oh yeah,
Yep.
really, yeah.
Yep. Cole
Caulfield's a huge
Caulfield,
fan of the.
when they signed him, or because draft, he was excited about that. It was a big news for him,
Hmm.
for Cole Caulfield. So be interesting about both of them. What they're going to do but again, this is another list to do for Can use the next couple of weeks to figure out. Like you said, just want to not correct you, but mention like Sean Farrell want to be done in the end at the beginning of April, whatever happening. He's not going to burn his first year because he's not going to play 10 games with the Montreal Canadiens. So that would be a good sign about that for sure. So it was like Sean Farrell, Jay Stubber, like I mentioned to you. So we'll move on to the next thing for Ken Hughes. One thing we have to remind you, because you talk about this, the NHL Draft 2023 for Montreal would be very important. Next month, this is the biggest tournament. This is the
Oh
last
yeah.
tournament where all the 18 years old face to the IIHF, this tournament at Switzerland. We're going to really follow up this tournament, Marco, for sure, as a Montreal Canadian fans, give you update,
Hlinka
everything.
Gretzky.
I'm sorry again?
Hlinka Gretzky. That's the Hlinka Gretzky.
Yeah, so that will be something to follow up for sure. The next one. So it'll be interesting. No, it's not a. I don't think so. It is because it's a 17-18. It could be that one because they moved last year for the COVID, so it could be complicated for me. I cannot remember on that one because I think Hlinka Gretzky is only in Canada usually.
Yeah, it might just be the under 18s. Yeah.
Yeah. So that would be the one I was thinking about that for sure. About this. So there's 18 years old for sure. I want to talk about you, Marco. You maybe give us some update about the Laval Rocket because, like I mentioned to you, it was an amazing, great weekend for them. Now the preview this one, I tried to get the Laval Rocket. If I can get it. If not, I will definitely let you know. But the Laval Rocket played 2 games this weekend, and they won the game Saturday, and they would lost. Friday, and they won Friday, and they lost yesterday again in a shootout. I think it was 11 shootout, by the way.
It's crazy, yeah. It was no Saturday night game, which is a bit weird. So good opportunity to watch Laval, and then they had the game on Friday. So exciting weekend of hockey for those guys, and they came back from 3 goals in the first game against Rochester, I believe, and that's an important game in the standings. They're right there, close to a playoff spot. So really exciting game. Lots of power play opportunities for this team over these 2 games. So my one takeaway, like I said, I was really impressed with Baudet. Really, really impressed with his elusiveness out there. Really, really elusive, and his puck moving is really strong. Smart decisions with the puck, and decent. He has a good stick in his own zone. So I was really impressed with him. And William Trudeau is really, really impressive. The disappointing thing for me, though, and it really makes me curious. I think I might go and really dig into to see kind of what's been going on, if this has been all season. But why are they not playing Mishak? I was shocked. The AHL is supposed to be a development league, for the most part. Coach, we've joked around before about how Martin Saint-Louis sometimes coaches to win. Well, I can tell you, Jean-François Houle and Laval, he is coaching to win, man. Last night, they were down 1-0. There was 15 minutes left in the game, and Mishak didn't see the ice once. 10 shootout rounds or 11 shootout rounds, didn't get to shoot. Mishak is his second overall pick. He was the captain of the Czech team at the World Juniors. Are we not trying to develop that kid? I don't mind Abandonado and players like that. I get that they're journeymen, HL Stevens and all those guys. I get it. They're probably going to give you the best chance to win, and I'm sure Laval wants to make the playoffs. But it's not like back in the day, these AHL teams were independently owned, right? And they were concerned about tickets and revenue and things like that. But that's not. It's owned by the Montreal Canadiens. It's a development team for the Montreal Canadiens. So, I'm going to go back and see. I'm curious, how many minutes per game is Mishak playing? I saw that they had him taking defensive zone, face-offs and killing penalties, which is good. That's probably what his role is going to be in the NHL if he plays in the NHL. But he has some offensive upside, right? So it's good that they're playing Trudeau big minutes. He's a good prospect, but I'm curious what you think. It's one thing to try to win, but you need to play those guys, right? They need to get some reps.
Yeah, well, first of all, he came back for an injury, have an assist. I think they played Wednesday or Thursday. I think they played Wednesday. He got an assist on that one. I didn't see a lot during the last 2 games, him, honestly. But he was a 42 overall pick 3 years ago. Big body. He's a big center, 6'1", 6'2", something, 6'1", I believe he is.
Mishak?
Nice. Very
I
smart.
think he's just under 6 foot.
Yeah.
Mishak, I think he's just
Yeah,
under
6
6 feet.
foot, 0.05 or something like that. So, very
Yeah,
smart hockey player, right? He really knows the game, everything. It's just sometimes right now they're focusing to make the playoff, and that's what the youngest, pay the price for that, because they have experience as a center. If you think the line of the center they have, so that's maybe the one reason. I don't want to make any excuse. That's really all is focusing on that one, but that's what they are, and it's not easy to become a hockey professional and American Hockey League. So
no,
whenever you draft second or third round pick, it's not because you're going to make it. You can see you have some talent there. You just cannot count on that on this year with
he's a
Laval
gamer
Rocket.
too. Like
Yeah.
Mishak is a gamer, right? Like he's somebody that, again, he has the potential to be a leader. He's the captain, and you look at the run that he had with Jackeye with Hamilton in the playoffs. Like he's a gamer. He's scored big goals for that Hamilton team in the OHL as they went to the Memorial Cup. So all I can say is I'm glad Slavkovsky didn't play down there play down there, because I just don't see the benefit of having your top prospects down there if you're not going to put them in key positions to get
Yeah.
exposure. But
Yeah. And one thing I always add to you is like, it's like it's fun to watching Laval Rocket. They're sold out again, over 8,000 people again in Laval. I think they have 1 point the last 15 game at Laval. So it's a party when you go there, right? That's what
yeah,
happening there. And I did have no chance watching them a lot, but this weekend I really sit watching the Laval Rocket. And
it's a fun building.
I scout many game in American Hockey League. I scout many game in the East Coast Hockey League, and it's always the same thing, right? More you go down, more the execution is not there anymore. The rep is not the same. The pace of the game is not the same. Bad pass, like and the skate or behind the players, a turnover because they don't hit very well. It's not easy to watch when you watch NHL, like I do every single day, like
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
But Laval has some players. I think Primo have a very good weekend. I'm impressed by Baudin, by the way. I don't say he's going to play in Montreal, but he's another left defenseman. But Baudin was very impressive on the weekend. Again,
yeah,
fun to Montreal Canadian fans to see Laval come back twice, at least to get 3 of the 4. They're still in the race. And big game against Chicago. Is now without Soderstrom, this game Laval won, by the way. Soderstrom was unbelievable. It's good because Chicago is not the same division compared to Rochester American. So that's a good W for the Laval
yeah.
Rocket. But I would like to
Laval
finish
Rocket,
this. Go
they
ahead.
kind of remind me of the Calgary Flames. They're always out shooting their opponents because they funnel pucks to the net over and over and over, but they just don't have any high end skill to finish it. It's like the Calgary Flames, but in the AHL, basically.
Yeah, absolutely about that. Add prospect of the week. I just mentioned 2 players because they constantly come back or almost every week. I'm talking about the Roy at 5 point this week, 3 goals, 2 assists, or 2 and 3, and then Hudson scored again 2 more goals. I think is now at 12 or 13 this season. Hudson is just
Top
behind a
10 in
couple of
scoring
points
now.
behind Brand Leach, if I can recall it. Roy continues performing over there, so they are the player of the week compared to any other prospect. But look, Hudson, we have to consider him maybe the top or maybe the top 3 at least, maybe the top best prospect for the Montreal Canadiens.
Yeah, like if you don't consider Slavkovsky a prospect because he's played with the
Yeah, yeah,
team,
yeah.
then yeah. If you don't consider Slavkovsky a
Or the one is
prospect,
not
then
with Montreal yet. That would be maybe the
yeah,
best thing.
yeah. He's for sure the top prospect at this point. There's no question about that. He just reached he's top 10 in scoring, in the NCAA. So as a freshman defenseman, that's pretty amazing. So listen, like we're all really excited about him. And again, coach, what do they do with all these left-handed defensemen? It's just crazy. Like they need to address that this summer and diversify, but very exciting.
It's exciting because you can do you can trade an asset or something like that at some point. You know what I mean? But and then move on, like DJ Brody play on the right D for the Toronto Maple Leafs is not the best thing, but he could have that situation if Montreal need it. But again, if you're Montreal Canadian for prospect, this is really great to see Lane Hudson, Logan Mailloux score 22 goals this year so far, and Riley Kidney have a good year. And Sean Farrell's doing well. Roy considers to be like this. So Roy is going to be a player I want to watch him more because scoring is one thing, but how he become a better 200 players and could play a little bit interesting. Follow him next summer. I would like to
Yeah,
see him
like
like playing camp everything.
he showed in the World Junior that he can be very versatile, right? Like he
Yeah, exactly.
kind of the opposite of what I said about Jonathan Drouin earlier. He can win board battles. You know, he's actually getting better at winning that. The only thing with the Roy is his like pace, right? Like his foot speed. Like I think he has NHL skating, but it's his acceleration, right? His explosion is so he needs to keep working on that. But like he's got the hockey brain, and he looks like his attitude and his his professionalism has definitely reached another level.
But
So
remember what
eventually,
we said about Tyler Toffoli. When Toffoli played, it was his biggest problem. It was his skating. Like skating was not the
yeah,
best asset for him, but he can score.
yeah,
You look where he became in NHL. So you can correct
yeah,
your skating. You can develop your skating, and but he
yeah,
have a very good head, a very good hockey head, Roy. So it'll be
yeah,
interesting to
yeah,
follow him for sure.
yeah,
Next
yeah.
week, Montreal are returning, week
Ooh,
number 21. Yes, Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday, and Monday is Colorado.
Eesh.
But Carolina, New York Rangers, and New Jersey in front of them. This is a crucial week for the Montreal for about where they at, what they look like again that, and if they give up on the season or they can fight with them and stay in the game for most of the game. But of course, I don't expect too much. But at the same time, Vancouver won last night, so they are only 1 point behind Montreal Canadiens. And then, could other team can join the Montreal Canadiens? The last 7, 8 game, Montreal play only again one team, the Florida Panthers. The rest is Tampa Bay twice, plus Colorado, I just mentioned to you. So that gave them 6 or 7 team, again, the top 10, may I would say
Yeah,
to you, maybe the top 6 in the NHL.
yeah. Like I'm more worried about the teams that are just ahead of us. I don't think any of the teams behind us are going to like Vancouver had a strong game against Toronto last night. So
Yeah.
maybe they've added Kraftsov. They have like Hronik that's going to be joining them. So maybe they have a bit of a surge, maybe. But I'm more concerned. I just don't want St. Louis to drop underneath us either. So I'm more concerned about going higher than 26 more than going down realistically. That's more my concern. This week I think is going to help though, because these these are going to be really really hard games. I think the games that Montreal will do the best in the stretch here are going to be teams that are really nervous, that have a lot on the line. These teams are locked for the playoffs, right? So they're just focused on, really kind of rounding out their game for the playoffs. They're not necessarily fighting for a playoff spot. So when you start, if I don't know if they're going to be playing teams like this, but if you're playing Buffalo, Ottawa, teams like that, those are teams are games that maybe we could play spoiler, and those teams are going to be playing holding their holding their sticks tight, right? So I think those are the kind of games that we're going to have more success with this during the stretch here is the teams that are a bit nervous. So looking, if I use that criteria, it's going to be a tough week. But you're right. Like what we're looking for is we don't want to see similar to what we saw in Anaheim. We want to see what we were seeing before that, right? So we want to be in the games. It might end up 5-2, but it's more the style of game that we're going to play, and that's what I'm going to be looking out for. But it should be a tough week. But I've been wrong before and often.
Yeah, two solid defense. The first of all, the two teams at the beginning, Carolina is very good on defensive, right? Good than then Rangers with Chesterkin, and then only game I think they can play again is the Devils because they can skate with them and they are not physical. The Devils, so they are
Yeah,
helping a bit more. They beat them the last game. I think it was 5-2. But
I
now
think
it's going.
Rangers is the one we have the best chance on because the Rangers are they've lost what 5 in a row right now. They're a bit they're kind of trying to find it with all the new players. So if there's one game I think we have a shot, I would say it's the Rangers.
I think Thursday they're going to figure out this already. Like I think right now that the team follow this schedule for the Rangers is going to pay the price. they're going to get now. They're going to get turned around. I feel like it's coming very soon for the Rangers. We have too much talent there. They'll be where they at. How about that? Tampa is really surprise.
Yeah,
Surprised me
crazy.
the last
John
couple of games.
Cooper's.
Big W for the Buffalo Sabre, by the way, yesterday.
Yeah.
But we'll definitely talk about those games next week, as on the week for other show. Mr. Marco, this is conclude another great episode of BRUNCH, your Sunday Rendezvous. Like we do at the end of the show, we ask you always, what are you looking for during the week? We know we just talk about the 3 games, but maybe a players, maybe the coaching, maybe a specific special team or whatever it is. What are you looking for the rest of the for the upcoming week for the Montreal Canadiens?
Well, we'll be looking to see what's going on with Justin Barron. See how serious that hit was. I'm a little concerned. Like it's maybe 3 times in the last 4 games that he got crunched. So is he the new Slafkovsky, Justin Barron? He needs to get his head up a little bit more. But so hopefully he's okay. I'll be seeing if he's going to be there. And the other thing I'll be seeing is St. Louis going to revert back to having St. Louis or Suzuki play with RHP and Anderson. And that was such a good line for us. I wouldn't be surprised if he goes back to that combination with the level of competition that they're about to hit. And of course, Gurianov, right? Like we'll continue to analyze how he is fitting in with the team. So those are probably the most interesting things to watch from the Habs perspective, and should be fun. At least we don't have to go to bed at 1:30 in the morning this week. So it's going to be.
That's a great news. That's a great news to hear that. For me, it's not a big deal, but for you guys, it's more. I would say to you, me, is he really focusing on the development, but more on the brand, on the culture, the work ethic, and the effort, everything like that. That's what I want to see now. Is someone going to starting to release the speed of their game now, the intensity, because now the trade deadline is over. You have only 20 games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so that's what I'm looking for. If how Martin Sault is going to deal with the next couple of games and see what they have, because we have to give credit. There's so much development. The staff coaching are so much better today than was like 6 months ago. Like the players, some of them are becoming great hockey players. So what? We'll be interested. We're going to see that. But before we leave, we invite everybody, guys. Don't forget, guys, to click on the like, subscribe to the Hockey Nation Live Show, and leave us a comment. We'll be at the premiere at 11 o'clock a.m. Definitely, Marco, me, or both will be there talking for each one of you. And don't forget, tonight, 6 p.m., play-by-play commentary, the Vegas Golden Knights versus the Montreal Canadiens. Marco, I wish you an amazing, great week, and I can wait to see you next Sunday. We'll see what Montreal did during the week.
Yes, sir. Merci tout le monde. À la prochaine. On se voit ce soir.
Merci beaucoup, Marco.